Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Girlish. My name is Gage, and I'm here with my co host, Olivia.
Hey everyone, it's me, and we're back.
We are, and I just want everybody to know that I sincerely apologize because we haven't been very consistent for the last couple weeks, and it is 100% my fault. So if you want somebody to be angry or frustrated at, you can send me a hateful DM and tell me that you're upset with me that we didn't upload because it was, like I said, 100% my fault. And I
We're
apologize.
I
Please
feel like
forgive
we're
me.
so consistent lately, though, where like we've been doing really
We
good.
were.
And we've had a great year so far with Girlish that I think it was about time that like we had to like shake things up a little bit and just take a break here and there. Which, I think is fine. I really needed it. I started grad school and shit, so like it's been stressful. So it's not totally your fault. Just a little bit, but not totally your fault. But I don't think anyone should be mad. It's like we've been so good. So good.
We honestly have. We were consistent for months. So I feel like the fact that we didn't upload for a week or two is like fine, you know? And like the first week, I literally didn't have a voice. So if you watched the last episode, you saw, what I sounded like and what I looked like. I just wasn't in the best state. So just like being able to give you guys that episode was really fun. But then the next week, or the next 2 weeks, I was pretty much on vacation, like out of town. So there was really nothing I could do. So I apologize. Life was just a little bit busy. But now that it's like getting into fall, I'm trying to ground myself and stay home and not go out and spend money. I'm trying to save money and I'm just trying to be wholesome and, yeah, stay home for the next couple months.
You need like a chilly fall girl when or like fall where you can just stay home, watch like spooky movies, enjoy
Yeah,
Halloween.
it's kind of hard to have a chilly fall girl vibe when there's a heat wave in California, but
I heard it's like
I'm
pretty bad.
trying. It's gotten a lot better now, but literally 110 for like a week and a half. I was
That's
like, do I
crazy.
live in the desert? Because I thought I didn't.
I experienced something for the first time as a Washingtonian. Is that what they're
That's what
called?
they're called. That's what you're called,
Okay,
yeah.
so I experienced smoke for the first time. There's been
Oh yeah.
wildfires, and I've never like had this experience, but for days there's been smoke just like lingering outside, and like the air quality went from like 30 to like 100 and something. So everyone was like saying, "Don't go outside," and it was so weird. Like it looked like doomsday. Like when the sun started to set and it was just smoke, it like was really crazy. So that's like a new experience for me. Thankfully, the fire wasn't close to us, but we still got that much smoke, which was kind of crazy. So it's been
It's
a
really
weird
weird.
summer.
Yeah, it's weird when that happens. It literally looks like the end of the world outside.
Yeah. What I think is interesting is like we've missed a couple weeks, right? So or it was like on and off. So we were just like for 2 weeks that we weren't consistent. But we also work so we work full time throughout the week. And then on the weekends is when we're free and we typically film. But it's so funny because even when we were at the Spotify thing, everyone was like, "That's crazy. You guys have a full-time job and you still do this. Like, how do you guys do it?" And it's like we don't. Like we barely get by. But
Sometimes it
it's
just doesn't happen.
and it's like, you think Girlish makes us money? Like, I love that you think that for us. But this
Yeah.
is honestly, truly just a fun pastime that we enjoy doing. So if we're like here and there every now and then, forgive us. We're doing our best.
Yeah. So like the first week that we were out, I went to Catalina Island with my parents, which was super fun. It literally feels like you're on in a different country, I feel like when you're there, but it's just an hour off the coast of Long Beach. So it was a nice little weekend vacation. I went to the club with my parents for the first time, which was really also an interesting experience. I feel like the reason I like to go out and dance is because of my dad, because we're literally the same person. So it was fun to like be in that environment with him and my mom too.
He was
No offense.
fucking up that dance floor.
He was, well, I don't know if he was fucking it up, but he was definitely on it and moving his body.
Got
But that's
it.
all that matters.
He was having a good time, and honestly, yeah, that's all that matters. It looked like a lot of fun, though. I've always wanted to go. I've heard that it's really beautiful, You have to take like a ferry or something, right? To like get
Yeah,
there.
so we drove to Long Beach, and then there's a ferry that leaves from Long Beach to Catalina Island, and it's like an hour or so, maybe a little under. And then you get there, and it's like you're in the Bahamas or something. It's crazy.
That is cool. That is really cool. But it sounds like
Yeah,
a fun
so
time.
yeah, we went there, and then the next week we went to Vegas because Russell was playing in a basketball tournament, which he won, by the way. Just put that out
First
there.
place.
Yeah, first place champions or whatever. But yeah, it was that was interesting just because like I don't know how he did it, but Vegas in itself is very exhausting. You go out at night, you get home at like 5 in the morning and you're exhausted, but playing two basketball games a day on top of that, like how do you do that?
It just truly surviving off of like the adrenaline, I'm assuming, of every win.
I guess. Like I don't get it.
I love you being a basketball wife though.
I really
Like there's videos
I
of you recording and like I
oh
can
my
hear you
god.
going like, oh my God, oh my God.
I will tell you because you went to one of the basketball games. Like usually
Yeah,
it's
I
like, oh,
did.
it's whatever, it's fun. But this, because it was a basketball game, basketball tournament, and we were in Vegas, I have never been more stressed in my entire life. When I'm telling you, I was next to one of his teammates' wives, and we were literally just screaming the entire time because
I
it's
love that.
so stressful. The championship game, they won by 1 point, and it went into overtime. And like normally
That's
under regular
crazy.
circumstances, I wouldn't know what any of that means, but I was really invested in this game. And yeah, if they didn't win, I was probably gonna beat up the other team or something because I was really
And
invested.
I'm sure, and also I'm sure that would have just ruined the vibe of the trip. So I'm sure you guys had like a big
Yeah,
high
I was like,
afterwards.
please,
Yeah.
we need to win because tonight when we go out, it's gonna be really bad vibes, and I need good vibes. So I'm happy that they won.
Didn't you say he got the last point too?
He did. He scored the last point
That's crazy.
before, and then so he scored the last point, and then they tried to shoot it with like seconds left and they missed. So he basically won them the game.
Okay, Michael Jordan.
Literally Michael Jordan.
I love that. Okay, sports. It's
Yeah.
funny because you
So
were so shocked whenever I went to one of the games, and you were so shocked. You were like, I didn't think you would like it or have fun, and I'm like, this is so much fun to me.
I
I love
really didn't.
competitive like stuff. Yeah, it's fun. Like I've
You
been
don't
to
strike
roller
me as a
derby
basketball
before.
girl.
I mean, I can play some horse,
Not a horse.
but yeah, it's fun stuff.
Yeah. So I was just like really August was a very eventful month for me. I looked back and we had something to do every single weekend of August into the second week of September. So it was just like constant back to back weddings, going out of town, going on vacation, doing this, doing that. So yeah, I'm happy that that's all over. It was fun while it lasted, but I'm ready to just chill and relax because my body needs it. And so does my bank account because I already have a tendency to go a little crazy under normal circumstances. But when I'm on vacation, it's like on another level. So yeah,
You
that's
can't
what's been
relax
going on
too
with me.
much.
No, I
You can't
literally
relax too
spent,
much.
I told you, like $75 yesterday on shampoo and conditioner. So,
Oh my god,
but it
I
was a
love that
necessity.
though.
So that's how I justified it for myself.
Right, like you need
I
it.
need to
Like
wash my
you
hair. Like,
exactly, and like you have
so
like high class hair, right? You have to
exactly. I
like.
need to upkeep my luxurious locks. Otherwise, they're going to just like fall off. So, yeah,
It's also self care. Invest in self care and
that's what I
everything
always say.
else. You live
That's what I
one
always
life,
say.
and like I feel like you should spend your money and not hoard it. So I think you're doing
Yeah.
a wonderful thing.
When I'm in my
So
casket, I need my hair to look nice, before it disintegrates. I want it to look nice. So I feel like it's just money lost if I don't take care of myself.
yeah, and I like even I have the worst problem with spending money too. Like I've been really stressed lately because I'm like I don't have money to afford this or that, and I get super stressed out. But did I buy the new iPhone? Of
You
course,
did.
I did, and
Good.
so
I'm
I will
jealous,
be getting that
honestly.
soon. Yeah, Emily got hers. I got the plus, so it's like bigger because I I have man hands. So I wanted to get the big one, and so I have to wait till like October 7th or something. So I have to wait a
You
little
guys
bit,
are
but it
so such tech girlies, like so
I know.
advanced,
I'm just
so
like I just
trendy.
it's so funny because I'm literally not though. Like I every time like iPhone has an update, I'm like a fucking boomer. I can't get over the emojis. Like I don't know how to escape like the emoji settings like section. When you go to like emojis and you look at them and like you search one, like if I were to search car and I do it, how do I go back to the normal like how do
You
I
just
go
have to
back to
delete
the
everything in the search bar.
that but then I don't know. Sorry, I'm such a boomer. So I'm like, why do I need a new iPhone if I don't even know how to use the one I have now? So yeah, that's
I get it
I
though.
can't work myself around that.
I spent an embarrassing amount of time updating my background after the new update. Literally, that's all I did. I think it was on Thursday for the first 3 hours of my day was just fuck around with the new update. So
Yeah, you sent it
yeah.
to me, and Emily's had the 10 for a long time, and she just doesn't update it because she doesn't care. So then I like showed her what you did, and she was like, "Oh my god!" So she's been playing around with it too, seeing like what to do. Because now they can do like it's like really customizable, which is like
Yeah.
so unlike Apple. So that's cool.
I know. They're giving us a little spice for once. Spice.
Yeah. But I'm super excited for my iPhone. But I was saying that you can't rest just yet because I'm going to LA in like
Oh man.
2 days. I keep
Yeah.
forgetting that like I'm going because
Oh
it
my
just
god.
feels like a spontaneous trip.
Yeah. We were talking about going to dinner, but I got summoned for jury duty on Wednesday. So I'm praying that I don't have to go. But
Yeah,
I don't know. I'd
we'll
rather like
see.
not, you know?
You're on like a
I'd
double
rather just like
homicide
go out to
case.
dinner or something. Oh my god, imagine. But yeah,
I
I'm
think
excited for you to come because we saw each
I don't.
other so much last month or in July, and then we haven't seen each other since. So I think it's time to see each other again.
I know. Like I feel like we've had this like it's been really cool that we were able to see each other so much this year that it'll be fun. But I want to see what day I'm flying back because I might be flying back. I think I'm flying back Wednesday, so I'm there the 19th
Okay,
through the
good.
21st. So if you're free on that Tuesday or even that Monday night, we
Yeah,
can get like a dinner.
for sure. We're getting
So
dinner somewhere.
yeah, so the reason that I'm going is because I'm celebrating my birthday week, which is a whole fun thing. But yeah, I'm celebrating my birthday and I'm treating myself to get a tattoo. So there's an artist that I really like that did this little tattoo right here on me, and I have this tattoo on my right hand, and I want something that kind of like contrasts it. And the artist in LA does like really cool freehand work, so it's like going to be black work. So I think I'm going to get something similar, but like in black. So I hope that she's able to do it. I'm praying. But yeah, I'm super excited because I've been wanting it for a really long time. So I decided, you know what? Tickets from Seattle to LA are like $100 round trip. And this tattoo will probably cost like a few $100. Overall, the trip is not going to be that much. So I was like, I can deal with that. Like, it'll be fine. So I'm excited though, because we're going to be there for a few days. And yeah, it'll be a fun time.
I'm so jealous. Every time you get a new tattoo, you literally get new tattoos every 4 days, and I'm just like, oh my god, I
I
want that to be
love them.
me. I just wish I had. It's not hard to book a tattoo. It's really not. Like once you find the artist and what you actually want, I'm just so lazy and like I don't put in the research to actually plan out what I want to get. But I want another tattoo so badly.
I think the reason tattoos are so easy for me is because the artists that I go to, I always just pick their flash. I pick like the things that they have, and because I can just look at them and go, "That's pretty. I want that." Because every tattoo that I had, like have that I've like picked out myself, I don't like. Like, I have like this like right here, this like star thing, and like I want it gone. Even this like octopus that I have on my arm, like I'm just,
I
I
love the
I
octopus.
know. Everyone really loves it and think it's really good. I don't know. Like I feel like it's such an like a precarious spot on my arm that like I wish it was maybe smaller in a different area. But I do like it. Like I don't know. There's just like some like I have like a little cow in the back of my calf, which at the time I thought was really cute, but I didn't like the way that the artist did it. I feel like she like really had to make it huge and like I whatever. So I'm just stuck with the ones that like I designed or I like picked out, and like I just always hate those. And the ones that are like the artist's like actual work, I feel like those are the ones that I tend to like really like. So that's like the one like shitty part. But yeah, there's like a little star here, and I was like working on getting it removed. But I was speaking to a tattoo artist, and she was like, why don't you just get it blast over? Like those are so cool when you just like essentially just get someone else to just tattoo over it, and not like a cover up, but just like tattoo over it so it looks like if you had a sticker and you just put a bunch of stickers on each other, so it's just a random piece of art just like on top of it. And I'm like, honestly, that could be really cool. So
Yeah.
when I'm talking to the artist, when I go, I'm gonna see if they know anyone or if they do stuff like that, because I think that would be cool. Rather than having to spend like thousands of dollars to get rid of like this tattoo, I can just spend like a few $100 to just cover it up. But yeah,
Yeah. That's
yeah,
fun. I never thought about like the difference between choosing your own tattoos and getting flash because there is kind of more, I don't know, you have more of attachment to your tattoo. So like if it doesn't turn out the way that you want it, you're like, "Oh, well, I fucking fucked up. I picked the wrong thing."
yeah.
As opposed to
I,
like a flash. Obviously, if it's you didn't create it, but it's something that jumps out to you, you like it, and that's probably not going to change, but something that has like meaning, it might change or you might feel different about it later. I never thought of it like that.
and someone told me, it was an artist, when I was telling them that I typically get flash. She was like, yeah, like I feel like, plus you're putting yourself in the situation to just have a better tattoo, because the artist, if it's their design, they're going to take their time and want it to look good because it's
Mm,
what they created. And so that's what I really like about it. And a lot of artists I go to just exclusively do flash. And I like the little sticker look. So I'm trying to work on
yeah,
that. But yeah, so the tattoos are super fun and I love getting them. So I'm excited. I'm nervous because the hand tattoo is probably my most painful one. So yeah, I mean the fingers were super easy. Finger tattoos are easy for me, but in right here in the middle,
I'm
it's
sure it
too
hurts
much.
like a
It hurts way
bitch.
too much. Yeah, like it's fine at first, but after like a few hours, you're just like I was getting super like I was out of body. Like your body, your mind just has to like escape to just kind of avoid the pain, because you're just like it was like really intense. But I was
Ew.
able to survive, and so hopefully this will be easier because it's not as many colors, and hopefully it just is gonna look nicer. But
The
yeah,
pain is worth it
it
because you have a
is
beautiful art piece on your skin now forever.
forever.
Forever
I
and
think
ever.
what I think is super cute is that like one day I want to have kids, and a lot of my tattoos are black, and I've seen people have their kids like color it in. And I'm
Oh,
like,
that's
that's gonna
cute.
be so cute. Like to have kids one day and then just like give them like some markers to like color on like in like my tattoos.
That's
I'm
so
like,
adorable,
yeah,
actually.
I know. I've been telling
Yeah.
Emily I have like baby fever. Do you just get random baby fever? You're just like, I want a kid.
Yeah. It takes like a very special child that I just
Yeah.
see out in the wild that just makes me like, I need a child like now.
hmm
I need a baby. So yeah, I feel that.
I've been, yeah, like I randomly have talks with Emily, and I'm like, if we had a kid right now, like let's just like if I were to somehow, if we just like somehow virgin married, she was pregnant, right? Like just like what is it, immaculate conception? Is that what they say? If
Mhm.
she just somehow got pregnant, like would we keep the child? And I'm like, we should. Like I feel like we'd be great parents. And she's like, I will abort it like immediately. And I'm like, okay. I mean, she wants a kid too, but like I think we're a
Yeah.
little too young. I think we need to wait some time.
Yeah. I saw this TikTok a couple days ago where this girl was like trying to justify how she spends her money. And she was like, well, if I go get my eyelashes done, then technically I could justify it because if I was a mom, I would need to buy diapers for my baby. So, it's okay for me to get that because if I was a mom, I'd have to spend it anyway. And that's what I'm thinking. Like, I think I could afford a kid. I just have to cut back on some things. But it's just a way for me to, I guess, further justify spending money when I shouldn't
Yeah.
be.
I think I think it's gonna be really funny when you have a kid. You're gonna buy yourself the $70 shampoo, and then you'll get your like
Ye-
nice little like $2 like Head and Shoulders, whatever it is.
Yeah, just like a little tiny head and shoulders bottle, but I still have my luxury shampoo.
What's the
That
like
like your
kids?
bald baby, like
What's the kids shampoo called? That's like tear free. like
The one
Johnson
that's in, like a
Johnson.
fish or something. It looks like
Yeah,
a little
like
fish with eyes. Yeah, I think it's
right.
Johnson and Johnson or something. Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah. But yeah, that's essentially what they're gonna have, like the nice $2 bottle, and they
Yeah.
can just like, eat the scraps of your food left over.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a $300 bottle of hair oil, and they're gonna have that.
Right.
But I work, they don't. So I have the
Period.
luxury of deciding what I want to put in my body, and they don't at that time. Wait, that
That's what
sounded
I say
really
about
bad.
like my It's a joke, everyone. It's
Yeah,
a joke.
I'm not like being 100% serious. Maybe like 95%,
Just a little, but like it's fine.
just a little bit.
It'll be a few years and then everyone will forget.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm trying to think of like, has there been anything else interesting happening for you? What something that I thought was really cool is we have some news, like some really cool news that we're like
Hmm.
working with Spotify again, everyone. So yay to
Yeah.
that. Like we have a really cool opportunity. We love working with them. As you guys know, we went to a little creator day event, and that's like our little, oh, I have it here. We had a little creator day
Oh my God,
event where
I
we
still have
spoke on
mine
their,
too.
yeah, we spoke on their panel, and it was like super cute, and it was a really fun time. And they invited us to do something else with them. So Gage and I finally did it. I was laughing whenever we were on the call with them because she was saying how like they're gonna fly us both out to Gainesville, to Florida, sometime next year. And I started laughing because I'm like, I finally got you to do it. I like finally
And
got
you
you to
got it
Florida
for free.
for
We're
free.
going for free,
For
bitch.
free. So I can't wait. I'm gonna take you to see all the alligators. You just have to like go to like any random body of water, just like literally the side of the street that's like a just filled with rainwater. You can just find your gators there. And then
Oh, I love nature.
I'll just take you to see all the sights, get bit by mosquitoes,
Oh my God,
see
I'm
all the
so
lizards
excited.
everywhere.
I can't wait for the humidity to just obliterate my hair. I'm
Oh
really
yeah, it'll
excited.
be bad. I mean, I think the time we're gonna go, I think it's sometime in like January or something. It shouldn't be too bad. I think it will
Okay.
not be the best, but it shouldn't be too bad. But it's funny because I wear glasses sometimes, and so when you go outside, it's just fog, and
Oh
so
no, that sounds
that's the kind
miserable.
of, yep. So I'm
I'm
very
excited
excited though.
though, because you basically live in my home, like where I grew up now. So I get to go and see where you grew up. So you have to show me all of your favorite places and everything because I want to get the full Gainesville, Florida experience. Like I'm a local girl. Like I'm
I
going
will. I
to
will. We'll
college
make sure
there. I'm
to
just like a
keep
college
you.
girl.
I mean, I want to take you to like the gay club there. I feel like it's a must.
I love,
If we're
yeah,
there during a weekend, they have drag shows every Saturday, so I
I
think it'd be
love,
fun to just take you there. But the
yeah.
whole scene in Gainesville, there's not really any clubs. It's more just like bars. But because it's a college town, the bars are the clubs. So like
Mhm.
it essentially is like that. And so you go bar hopping and like you just have a good time. So I'm very excited for that because like the
I
nightlife
love
in
that.
Gainesville is super fun. So
Fun. Oh my God, yeah.
okay, so that's some good stuff. So I'm very excited that I was literally when she was like telling us, I was just like in my mouth, like I had to stop myself from like laughing because I'm like, this is so funny to me
Because
because
I thought, so we're doing something with Spotify and it is in relation to the cities that we live in slash grew up in. So I was under the impression that you were kind of going to go to Florida to do that whole thing and I would stay in LA. But the fact that I get to go with you, I think that's so cool. And like obviously
yeah,
you would probably be able to come to LA too. So
yeah,
yeah, it's just like another really cool opportunity for us to like hang out and
I'm
do fun
super
stuff.
excited. Like it's gonna be really fun. There's a lot of good restaurants. If Gainesville, what Gainesville has is genuinely like great food. And I was talking to you about it before we started. Is that I have been living in Washington for 6 months now, and I feel like I'm unable to be happy here because there's no access to good food, and I as much as I want to be a better cook, I hate cooking. And so, like, the food here is like ass. And you were telling me, like, what are the demographics of Olympia, Washington? And I looked it up, and 90% of the people here that live here are white. So that's like a good
Yeah.
understanding of like It
I
sucks.
mean, Washington, it's pretty white, but there are places that are really diverse and have like really good food. I just think Olympia might not be one of them. It's the capital. People of the white variety might be like, oh, let's live at the capital because that's cute and fun. And as a result, that's the type of food that's there. It's to please them. And it's not always the best. No offense, but
You
it's
would
just
think
true.
too that like everyone here is like vegan and vegetarian, so there'd be like really great options. No, there's like no good options. Like if they do have an Impossible Burger, you can tell they just like slap that burger on a grill and just put it in regular buns, and I could have just done it at home. Like they'd
Yeah.
add nothing. There's no seasoning in anything. Like the only good stuff here is the Mexican food because there's like a large Mexican population here. I'm assuming because of the agriculture. I know that the Spaniards like also colonized up to Oregon, so I think it was all Spanish owned up to Oregon. So I think there's still some residue, minorities there, and that like have stuck. And I so once I am in like a local Mexican restaurant, I'm like, okay, this is good, but I'm also not a big fan of beans, and I don't eat meat. So then that's like half the majority of like Hispanic food is like beans and meat oriented. So it's like I guess this is a good quesadilla, cheese quesadilla that I spent $20 on. So yeah,
It's
that's
really
essentially been
cheesy.
yeah. So I really just I do miss like the small town Gainesville, um, where it was like the best food, like Southern food and Waffle House. Do you know what Waffle House is?
I do.
You do?
Mhm.
Are there any in like Washington?
No.
No, it's just a Southern thing. Okay.
Yeah.
There's like that's like a big Southern thing is Waffle House and fucking Publix. Publix. Sorry,
I
I'm just
don't know
like
what that is.
reminiscing right now. And it's the grocery store. Oh my God, I have to take you to get, do you like subs?
Yeah.
Are you a
I've
sub
just never heard of
girl?
Publix before.
They have
Actually, I
like,
remember you telling me about it before, but never
yeah,
been in one.
they're like notorious for like being super like clean. They're like a really great grocery store. And so like it's where shopping's a pleasure is their slogan.
Oh,
And
okay.
they have like the best like chicken tender subs. I don't eat it because I don't
I
eat
love
chicken.
love that. I'm a chicken tender freak. So
Yeah.
I would be
So
obsessed with that.
yeah, maybe I'll have to take you. But yeah, so I think that's a cool thing that will be coming up that maybe we can like vlog it or something. Because I really want to like chronicle the whole like event and everything happening because I think overall it's like really cool and I think it's good for Girlish. I think it's good for us to just experience. So I think that's gonna be super cool. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think with that being said, there's a big topic that's been in the news that we've been wanting to cover for a really long time. And I don't know if you want to set it up, but finally we're together and we can talk about it. It's a
Yeah.
little late, but I think it's still a very important thing to talk about.
We are very late, so I think everybody's kind of already had their opinions and talked about it, but unfortunately, we just weren't able to get an episode out when it actually happened. But basically, a trans woman named Jordan, her at is Picky Taiwan on Instagram. I personally have been following her for quite a while. Were you familiar with her before the tweet came out?
Yeah, I know I followed I think you've showed me some of her like posts in the past or something. So her and is it Corinne? Her friend?
Corinne, yeah.
Yeah, so
Yes.
I followed them. I have a thing with Instagram where I follow people and I unfollow people just because I'm like, okay, like my ratio, like I just don't like having more than like 500 people I'm following. So I'll just go through and like unfollow people here and there. And so I like have followed them in the past. And then I recently refollowed them and a bunch of other trans women because of this whole thing that happened. But yeah, so I am aware of her.
Yeah. So I guess from just following her, she's very outspoken. She's not afraid to share her opinion, and she does have specific views regarding non binary people and the trans community. And there was one particular post that she made that caused shockwaves in the trans community. It was literally trending on Twitter. Hunter Schafer got involved, which we can talk about. Hunter Schafer was trending on Twitter. So it was like a really, really, really big thing in the community. And there were two different sides, the sides that disagreed with her and the sides that did agree with her. But there was just a lot of politics, and the way that the message or her post was misconstrued caused a lot of conflict, more so than I think was necessary. And I think people were missing the entire point of her post in general. So I'm sure most of you that are listening to this have seen or heard of this issue. If not, we'd love to just have you listen to the conversation and let us know how you feel at the end. But I just want to start by reading her entire post just so that we can have something to discuss, or like a launch point to go off of. So basically, she wrote that I hope all of the people and bees who fought to have trans identities no longer considered a medical condition that requires dysphoria are happy because you've won. The red states are beginning to agree with you. HRT and gender affirming surgeries are no longer deemed medically necessary for adults in Florida, and it's not going to stop there. That means more trans people will have to pay for their transitions out of pocket, forcing more of us into sex work. Y'all couldn't just stand there and let binary trans people be the voice of this community. You've had to dismantle all of the guidelines around being trans to fit your narrative so you could feel valid. And then you demonized trans people who challenged your ideals and called them truscum slash transmedicalists. What you don't understand is that binary trans women and men don't have the luxury of playing around with what it means to be trans the same way you do. You challenge gender ideologies from the safety of a cis body that requires no medical treatment. We have to play the game and live by the guidelines that cis people have created for us because that is how we survive. You are not helping. You are not dismantling the gender binary. You're not expanding the minds of cis people. You are making them hate us. For the last time, I am begging non binary people to take a seat and let binary trans people, more specifically Black trans women, be the voices of the community because they are the ones that are at risk. And I guess, what are your initial thoughts upon seeing the post?
So this is a very sensitive topic for me because what Jordan is referencing is the Florida law that made trans related trans related medical costs, or like just medical coverage. They made it illegal to cover through Florida Medicaid. So this affects all adults on Medicaid. And whenever I was first kicked out of my home, and I didn't have any insurance, I didn't have anything. I was a student and I was working and making like minimum wage. I could not afford to live. So I applied for like Medicaid and food stamps and government assistance. And Medicaid is how I started my gender or my trans journey. It's how I started getting my hormones. So this is like super, super close to my heart. And it like really affects me like deeply because this is like such a painful thing that's happened to the community. It's crazy to think that my home has like the people like me aren't going to be able to experience the same thing I experience, or going to have less resources, less rights than I have. And it shows like a really scary precedent of what Florida may look like in the future, because it starts with Medicaid, but then does it continue to other healthcare coverage? Is all Florida healthcare going to like ban trans related medical expenses? Is it going to ban anything else regarding trans people? Is it going to How is it going to affect the LGBT community in like the long run? Because this is a really big step that happened. So I'm very this is very close to my heart. With that being said, this whole post, I'm not a trans medicalist, and I want to like reiterate that because I just think people can identify with how they want, whatever makes them comfortable, and I'm not going to gatekeep that in any capacity or in any way. I think people have the right to be who they are, to feel the way they want to feel, and I think that's fine. But with that being said, I think trans people who choose to transition, I think they experience something that choose to medically transition through hormones, I think they experience something at such a great cost that it's hard to um, ignore, or it feels like whenever these things happen, I feel like they're not the voice of the community anymore. I feel like it has shifted, and I think that's where the issue is within this post. In terms of, is it non-binary people's fault for politicians to be going against trans people? I don't think so at all. I think that's like a little bit of a stretch, and I don't agree with that aspect of it. But there's like a whole bigger part in this story that kind of discuss the trans people that do choose to medically transition, especially trans women of color. Their voices aren't at the center of the community, and I think that's a big issue that I want to like reiterate and push, is that like trans women specifically should be the voice of the community because they have the most to lose, and I think they deserve to have their rights, they deserve to have the rights. They deserve to speak up where is needed. So that's kind of like my thoughts on the post, is that I understand deeper context into it. As a whole, I don't agree with every aspect, but I can relate or understand to the part where I don't think trans women are being focused on as much as they should, considering they do have the most to lose and are being affected the most.
I agree. I have pretty much the exact same feeling. So when I first read this, I didn't really think anything of it. I honestly, like you said, agreed with most of what she's saying. I just also want to preface by saying that I do not care how anybody identifies. I don't think that non binary people are the reason that all of these laws are coming up and why more politicians are pushing for restrictions regarding transitioning. I don't think it's in relation to non-binary people. I think that's completely unrelated. So I also don't agree with that aspect. But I think it's important to talk about this because as a trans woman who has transitioned, I feel like I should be able to read a post regarding my own experiences and my community without feeling like I'm doing something wrong based on the way that I feel. And I felt like I was in the wrong for agreeing with parts of what she said and feeling like your entire community is out to get you or afraid that people are going to or I guess categorize you as a trans medicalist when that's literally not what I am whatsoever. It's kind of frustrating because I feel like most people are completely jumping over the main point of this post, which is that recently it feels like the conversation around being trans is kind of in the hands of non-binary people. And I think that's fine. It's completely possible for the two communities to exist near each other and even bleed into each other at times. But there is a very clear difference between somebody who identifies as non binary and chooses not to transition medically and somebody that does. Because the people that are medically transitioning are the ones that are specifically being targeted by these laws. Like, obviously, yes, it is affecting your community if you're non binary, but if you're not medically transitioning, the fact that they are changing the way that we are able to go about our transition and taking away the accessibility of hormones, that doesn't really affect you. So, to me, the point of this post was just to highlight that it's not fair for non-binary people to hijack this conversation regarding transitioning medically and saying that it's not even necessary to be trans when that is the experience for some of us. Some of us do have gender dysphoria. We do need to transition in order to feel better about ourselves and our identities and our bodies. So it's not fair to just discredit that and say that you don't even have to transition in order to be trans because, like I said, for some of us, that is our experience. That is what we do. We do need hormones. So I think the greater conversation here is that our community specifically really likes to jump down the throat of people who have different opinions. And as a trans woman that is clearly frustrated with how things are going, I don't think the best way to go about the situation is to send her death threats and to get her banned on her social media accounts just because she has an opinion. Because I don't think anything that she said is inherently transphobic. I don't think she has internalized transphobia that she's dealing with. I think this is coming from the perspective of a frustrated trans woman that can see what's happening within the community, and that trans women, non-binary trans people who have medically transitioned are not able to share their experiences, and we are the ones that are specifically being targeted by these laws. And it's not in any way to discredit or take away from somebody else's experience. It's just the truth. Like that's just how it is. These things are affecting us, and I just wish it didn't feel like people were trying to fight for which group is more oppressed than the other, and not really understanding or addressing how different laws or different things that are going on in society are affecting us in different ways. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that we all experience life differently. So it's why are you getting upset at somebody? Why are you calling somebody transphobic or racist or homophobic or whatever the case may be for speaking on an issue that is specifically affecting them? I don't understand that.
Yeah. Literally, yeah, exactly. And I mean, there's more to Jordan's post. She ended up commenting a day later, clarifying more, which you can just Google it and you can look at her clarification. She continues like saying, like, obviously non-binary people aren't the main reason that, or they aren't, yeah, the main reason that all this is happening. And so I also want to say that non-binary people can medically transition. So obviously we're aware of that. Obviously that is a thing. They can medically transition. They can be on hormones. So there's obviously, it's like it's too binary to be like this is a issue that non-binary people don't experience, because sure, gender is fluid. There's a bunch of layers to it, and you can identify whatever way, and you can still have this whatever path that you're on, and that's all valid. And so I want to obviously reiterate that non-binary people can medically transition. I read a really good tweet that kind of was talking about this, so we can kind of talk about Hunter Schafer's involvement in this. So Hunter Schafer, she did like a really disgusting thing when it comes to like this post, and she like really just like commented something so nasty. She commented 3 exclamation points, and or is it four? Is it 3 or 4?
It's 3 or 4, but
Yeah,
that's literally all she said under the
yeah.
post. And like I said, she started trending on Twitter. People were trying to cancel Hunter Schafer. They were calling her and accusing her of being a transmedicalist. Some people were even calling her racist and privileged. And that like upset me because Hunter has done so much for the trans community, specifically regarding visibility, but she's also been so involved in the community. We had an episode that discussed something she did a couple months ago where she literally like led a crusade against a club for being transphobic to one of her friends. Like from what I don't know her personally, but from what I can gather in the way that she conducts herself, she's not a transphobic person. She's not a terrible person. She's not any of the things that people are claiming that she is, but simply her posting exclamation points under this post that is controversial, people automatically turn their back on her. And that kind of just reinforces what I was saying earlier. It's like I don't understand how we're ever going to evolve as a community and get farther if we're not allowing people that are within the community and have a voice and should be heard, if we're not allowing them to speak what they need to say without backlash. Like there's no middle ground here. Nobody's trying to compromise or understand where she or Jordan is coming from. It's just automatically they're trans medicalists. They're privileged. They hate the community. And that's that. Like there's no going back and forth on it.
Doesn't Hunter also use they pronouns? Doesn't she use she they pronouns? I'm pretty sure at a certain point she did, but or she
I'm not
does. I'm not
exactly
sure.
sure, but
But I also want to like specifically say how much Hunter Schafer means to me. Like she co-wrote an entire episode of Euphoria that was centered around Jules as a character, and the way that it discussed The way that it discussed gender and being trans, it was her sitting down with a therapist, just talking about the trans experience, very like intricate like details that were, I'm getting chills right now talking about it, but it was like something that like resonated with me so fucking hard was because for the first time I was hearing a story about me, someone like genuinely explaining like the ins and outs of how I was feeling, the trend, like how it feels to be a trans person and to like experience the things that we experience. And I was like just mind blown. This is like my absolute favorite episode of any television. It was like the half episodes that were in between season 1 and 2, which I highly recommend you go watch. But she co-wrote this episode, really like like talking about the ends of what it means to be a trans person, and like I resonated with that so fucking much, and who she is as a person was giving it's just so much representation, and it like really hurt to see people say a lot of these like awful things about her, because I feel like as trans women we understood what she was implying with the exclamation points. We understood. I feel like a lot of other trans women are also like, we're really thinking this was really blown out of proportion. I obviously don't think trans or Hunter Schafer is a trans medicalist, and I don't think any other trans woman thought that. I think what we were all seeing was the fact that what she was agreeing with was the idea that trans women should be the ones who are the voice of a community when they are the ones being, affected. She ended up clarifying in another Instagram post. She like commented on one of her pictures, but she said, "Also, while I'm here, I hold absolutely no hatred towards non-binary folks. I agreed with another T Girls post in which she pointed out an imbalance in the visibility and space taken up between non-binary folks and binary trans women, particularly those of color or those who have resulted to sex work as a means of survival. But I think it deserves attention slash reevaluation as far as resources and platforms go within the LGBT community. I am not a trans medicalist, and my ideology around transness does not align with trans medicalism, nor a disdain towards non binary identifying people." And I think people took a good reception to it. People that were mad at her kind of, I think she got a good reception for that apology. But I felt like the people who were mad at her were seeing her as this like villain, while other trans people were actually seeing the core of the issue. Like other binary, specifically trans women, really saw the core of what she was talking about because they felt it, they've experienced where there's not the representation that they need. We're not at the center of the playing field anymore. And I feel like a lot of trans people, knew this. Like a lot of trans women knew this. They felt it. They understood the parts of those posts that they agreed with in whatever capacity. And then everyone else was like super mad at her. And so I think this is a really interesting thing because I do think there's like two camps of people whenever she commented. There was a camp of people saying, well, she agreed with this entire post. She's a trans medicalist. And then there's the other camp saying, well, like trans, like binary people, trans women, women of color, they aren't the center of the community. They aren't the ones where their voices are being heard the most. And so I think that was kind of the two camps where I felt like people were fighting not at each other, but at like these like other aspects of like this argument. So I thought this was very strange. Hunter Schafer is obviously not a trans medicalist. We're not trans medicalists because we believe that trans women need more representation. They should be in the forefront of a conversation, especially when they have the most to lose. So yeah, I feel a lot of feelings about this because I do love Hunter so much. I obviously don't know her as a person, but just as what she represents is really important to me. I ended up posting something in support of her on Twitter, and someone was like, "Well, she's like this privileged, she's a privileged white girl or whatever." And I was like, "Excuse me, a privileged white girl? No, she's a privileged, like not a privilege, like she is a trans woman. She is a trans woman. You're gonna like push her off as being like this white woman. So she has no struggle. She is a trans woman who has to experience whatever hatred comes towards her at what character she plays in like a movie or whatever. She like is super super open, especially in Euphoria, where the things that they talk about, the way they explore gender and stuff like that. Just like super open with who she is, and I'm sure she doesn't. It's not the easiest for a person who is trans to exists like as someone that popular.
I did notice that a lot of the trans women that were vocal about their support with Jordan and the post, it it was a lot coming from trans women who have transitioned quite a while ago and have been living in the gender that they identify for quite a while now. And I think that it doesn't make sense to me to automatically call a trans woman who has been on hormones for however many years and is able to live and identify as the gender that she prefers or to pass in society. I think it's unfair to automatically label that person as just being privileged because it hasn't always been that way. And when you're saying that somebody who has been transitioning for years is privileged, it's discounting the entire transition that they had years before and all of the struggles that they went through at the very beginning of their transition and all the discrimination that they may have faced. It just completely erases all of that. Like, obviously, you can see now Hunter Schafer is one of the most notable trans actors in the world. She's on a incredibly successful TV show. She has rose to fame. She's obviously financially fine, like she can take care of herself financially, but that doesn't discredit anything that she went through before she was able to get to that point in her life. And I feel like that's the biggest issue here. It's just we're constantly looking for ways to point out how maybe somebody said something wrong and how it could be misconstrued as being transphobic, but there's no nuance there. We're not looking at the greater picture. We're not trying to dissect what this person's saying. It's just taking one aspect of their statement or their comment or their words and twisting it in a way that makes them automatically a horrible person. And we need to have discussions like this. We need to be able to dissect what somebody is saying and really get to the root or the cause of whatever they're trying to prove without jumping down their throat and canceling them and insulting them and getting them banned from social media and erasing their voice, because a lot of what she was saying has value and it does have truth. And people just weren't really, they were reluctant to understand that and really have that discussion. So I continue to think like that is our biggest flaw as a community. It's just that we are so quick to defend the community that it is also sometimes seen as a flaw. We're not having these conversations, we're not evolving our thinking and getting to a point where we can have disagreements and understand that at the end of the day we all have different experiences, but that doesn't mean we're all going to think the same way, and that's fine. And I don't know. I just want people to not jump to conclusions all the time. I think everybody deserves to kind of explain where they came from, and everybody that thinks that they have a right to insult somebody or call them transphobic or accuse them of being a transmedicalist should make sure that they're doing their research and making sure that whatever they're saying in these hurtful words are actually founded and it's not being misconstrued like this whole situation was. So I guess at the end of the day, I don't have hatred in my body at all for non-binary people. I think that the message was missed here, and I do agree with the fact that, you know, a lot of these things that are happening right now in legislature are affecting binary trans people. And that's not, again, to discredit anything that a non-binary person goes through, but the conversation and the way that our community has been going in, I feel like nowadays people obviously have a better understanding of what gender is. Most people know what non-binary means, but if you ask somebody specifically regarding trans people and how transitioning actually works, people don't, they still don't know. They have a lot of questions. So that's really the thing I'm trying to talk about. It's like people know what it means to be non-binary because it's everywhere. We have a lot of resources and a lot of, TV shows are including non-binary characters. But when it comes to trans women or trans people that have transitioned and the whole process of taking hormones, people still don't really know what that is. So it's like frustrating to see that we have all of these laws going in place that are specifically affecting trans people who have medically transitioned, but the conversation and the people that are talking about it are non-binary, and it just doesn't affect you if you don't transition. And I don't think it's wrong of me to say that. That's just the truth. These things are affecting our communities differently, and I think the ones that are being affected are the ones that should be at the forefront of the conversation, and it doesn't feel like that's how it is right now.
Yes, and I'm happy, like, obviously clarify we aren't anti non-binary people. That's silly. I have non-binary friends and stuff like that. Like, they've heard my point of view. They understand where I'm coming from and how I feel and stuff like that. I'm not saying that it's their fault for like legislative decisions. I just think that whenever we discuss this, I think, binary trans people who are the most effective, like you said, should have their voices be heard. I also want to say that we aren't gender theorists. We're not, was it Foucault? We're not like these crazy people invested in like gender theory, theory of sexuality. Like that's not who we are. We're trans women. Like we talk about the things we experience, our lives that we've experienced, how we see the world through our point of view as trans women. That's how we're coming about this, talking about this. So I do want to just reiterate that I'm not a trans medicalist. People can be or feel how they feel. I would never live a day in another person's shoes. I can never begin to understand how another person feels, and I'm never going to try and do that. I don't want anyone to think that I have ill will towards anybody, because that's the furthest from the truth. We're constant advocates for people to just be able to live who they are authentically without any discrimination. And I really want to stress that. So I just also want to say that I love Hunter Schafer. I think she's amazing. Even her response
Same.
to this was really great. So I think that's a great way to just end it. It was, yeah, I have no ill will towards anyone, and we stand Hunter. So
We stand Hunter. I agree. Yeah,
period.
I mean, if you listen to this and you want to call me a transmedicalist, honestly, be my guest. That's fine.
Call Gage one. Don't
I
call
feel
me
like
one.
I feel like what I've done and the way that I carry myself speaks for itself. I don't see it. I really don't. But I think that's the biggest takeaway here is that as a community, it doesn't do us any justice to constantly try and cancel people for having a different viewpoint, especially if we're not really understanding the purpose of their words or what the main point is. And I just want our community to be able to have discussions and disagree with each other in a civil way without it turning into like a civil war, because that's usually what happens. The community is always divided between one side and the other. And it's just like people insulting each other, calling each other names, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, that's not doing anything for us. It's really not. People already have their perceptions about us as a community. And if we can't agree on things, it's not going to do anybody justice. So I think people need to stop giving Jordan hate. Like, literally, leave her alone. She's already clarified what the true purpose of her post was. Maybe she did get a little bit carried away and say some things that aren't necessarily true, or at least I don't personally agree with. But the entirety of her post was missed by most people, and that's what they chose to focus on. So that's really all I have to say. I don't think that non binary people are evil. I welcome everybody with open arms. I just think that we are all affected by certain things differently, and it's okay to acknowledge that. It's not diminishing anybody else's experience by acknowledging that a specific group of people are being targeted and it's not another group that's being targeted. I don't think that's wrong. I think we need to stop this like obsession with always trying to justify why our identity or our group of people experiences the most oppression, because that's that's not it. You know, you have to be able to understand that other people are experiencing things differently than you. Like that's the point of intersectionality, is to be able to take a step back from your own identity and understand the struggles that others are going through. And a lot of times these issues can overlap, but sometimes are different. And you have to acknowledge that.
Yeah, I think that's well said, and yeah, I think that's a good sum for of how we feel about this whole situation. But yes, please don't be mad at us. We've done so much. I feel like, yeah, for the community. I think, and all the content we've made and all the discussions we've had, we really try our best to be an advocate for everyone. And I think we're constantly doing it, talking about representation, trying to do it where it applies. We've spoke on the panel recently, talking about how important representation is, what it is, and that's why we have our podcast. I felt like whenever we started this podcast, there wasn't any sort of trans people in the podcasting realm, especially talking about the things we talk about. Trans women hosted, us being I'm Mexican, and then you being Filipino, and I just feel it's really important that we are able to talk about these types of things and no one gets upset with us, because I do feel like we've constantly advocated for this community. But with that being said, I want to try and move on to something a little more happy. Do you have time for, and we've been an hour, do you have time for Am I the Asshole? Just one.
Duh.
Okay. Okay. Because
Duh.
this is an interesting one and I want to get your take because,
Okay.
yeah, for the first time, I'm not going to say anything because I don't want to spoil it. It's a little
Okay.
long, so I'm
Yeah,
going to try and read it
just
fast.
don't preface anything, just tell me, because I want
I'm just going to read
to
it to
come
you.
into
Okay.
this with my raw feelings.
So here we're going to jump into Am I the Asshole now? So buckle up. Am I the asshole for taking my newly out trans daughter to my sister's wedding? Both my husband and I are 37. We have two daughters, Kate, 13, and Laura, 15, who is trans. So I guess Laura's trans. 2 months ago, my younger sister, Sarah, invited us all to her wedding, to which we accepted. However, last week, our daughter came into our room and told us she feels like a girl in every single way, except for when she looks in the mirror. She admitted she was depressed and struggled with her confidence. It was midnight, so I told her that we would go shopping tomorrow to see if I can't find some of that confidence. The next day, my husband surprised me with an envelope of money and told me to make her day and he would make her night. To sum it all up, my girls and I had a blast shopping. I took her to the salon, and she walked out with a hot pink short bob. We bought a lot of clothes. She picked out a gorgeous black dress for the wedding. We laughed, we cried. My husband then took her on a daddy daughter date that he'd always done with Kate. We had such a happy, emotional week trying to make sure our girl knows she's safe, loved, and accepted that we hadn't even thought about telling my family. So when we showed up yesterday, everyone was shocked, but they accepted her like we did. No one but my mom made a big deal in a good way. My sister's fiance's family hadn't met us, and they didn't know Laura as a boy. None of them acted like they knew. Today, my sister's MOH, her sister in what? Today, my
Maid of honor?
sister's. Oh, yeah, that's what it is.
Maid of
Today, my
honor.
sister's maid of honor, which is her sister in law, texted me telling me that I should have made Laura stay home because it took the spotlight off Sarah and it really hurt her. She also said that it was disrespectful to take a trans person to a Christian wedding knowing Sarah's trying to get right with God. I should have just made Laura suck it up and wear a tux for a day. I texted back and told her she is utterly and completely out of line and to never contact me again. Still, I called my sister and she did admit it hurt her feelings and she felt it made her day less about celebrating her and her husband, and our family was focusing more on Laura. She shared the same sentiment that we shouldn't have came since we were going through a crisis, but she didn't want to hurt Laura, so she didn't say anything. Am I the asshole for taking my newly out trans daughter to my sister's wedding? That was a
You're
long
joking.
one. So what do you think, right? What do you feel? I need to like know your
Okay.
your thoughts.
So I think amazing parents, honestly.
Right,
Truly.
period. Love that.
Like, wow. Like,
Even the dad going out of the
amazing.
way was
Even the
shocking to me.
daddy daughter, I'm
Yeah.
going to start crying. Just the way that she called it a daddy daughter day. Anyway, so in terms of their parenting, 10 out of 10, 100% love that. I do think if you're going to a wedding, obviously this is a very big change in their family and it was just kind of last minute. I think what could have mitigated a lot of the backlash was just to let their family know that, you know, our daughter is going to look, or I guess our, what you thought was our son is now our daughter. She's going to be dressed a little bit different. I just want to give you a heads up, blah, blah, blah. I think that could have mitigated some of the issue, but I don't think they're an asshole for bringing her to the wedding. Like, if it, bitch, I'm sorry. Like, are you really jealous of like a 15-year-old? Because if I was the bride and one of my relatives came to my wedding and that was like their coming out story or their coming out moment, I would not be offended by that. I'd be like, okay,
Yeah,
here, like you can
slay.
sit in my chair, like fine. Like that's just my personal opinion on it. But I don't know. I feel like no, they're not an asshole, but I think maybe, I guess it is her wedding. So she is supposed to be the star of the day and her shine got stolen, which I guess I can understand. But at the same time, I don't think they did anything wrong. I think it would have been beneficial to tell them beforehand just so that they knew. But like the maid of honor sounds like a bitch. Like that's not even your
Yeah.
place. If she had an issue, she should tell her sister that issue instead of inserting yourselves like that. And then like all the things she was saying about religion and like that did not sit right with me. Like because it didn't, first it seemed like she was like, oh well, it just made it less of a special day for the bride. But then it started to go into the direction of like being religious and like being transphobic. So that was like not okay. But I don't think that the family is an asshole.
Yeah, I think the family did a great job supporting their daughter, and like I said, they should have said something to the bride beforehand, saying, "Hey, like, just want to know this is all happening." I guess they were all caught up and swept up into it, but I can understand how much of an important day this could have been for their daughter too, to just like be able to express herself for the first time in like an event like this. I've been to weddings before. It's not this serious. Like if it's a wedding that had like a bunch of people and stuff, people are focusing on you and your marriage and your ceremony. No one is going to be like, wow, there's like that tranny over there, just like this like child. And we're so angry at this kid for just expressing herself in whatever way she wants to. And if they are hung up on that, then you have the wrong people in your life. You have the wrong crowd of people in your life. You are marrying wrong people. And if you feel that way, then I don't know how to like what to tell you. Because like if that happened, and like I said, if it was my wedding, I would be like, honestly, I'd be so excited. I'd be really happy for them. I'm like, I'd be super happy about the whole celebration. I think it's a good happy day, and everyone should try and be happy. Um, with that being said, everyone called her on this Reddit post. They called her the asshole, which
The
like they because
parent,
like yeah, there's like you can see there's like a label, and like they labeled it
that
as the
doesn't make sense
asshole.
to me.
Right, and so
I
I'm, like,
don't think
freaking
so.
out because 'cause I'm, like, reading and trying to read the comments and stuff, and, people have the same, response that we had about how, like, they shoulda told her. um, this is on the main "Am I the Asshole" subreddit, so, obviously, there are people who aren't trans that are responding to this. This isn't, like, just selected to the community, but, like, this top comment says, or it's one of the top comments, "Before I judge, am I understanding that your daughter came out at actually, that's not the one I was looking for.
I mean, if you're getting married, bitch, you have a big ass white gown on. You get to walk down the aisle. You have your own ceremony. Part of being at a wedding is so that your family and your partner's family can like get to know each other and bond and have fun. And like you're mad that your niece is being positively received by everybody there and somehow that takes away from your experience as the bride. Like that doesn't make any sense to me. Like it's still your day, but you're mad because they like her pink hair, her pink bob slapped. Like what is it?
It's really funny because, like, I mean, if you see trans people as a spectacle that's worthy of taking away from your day, I think that's like I said, that's like more of your issue. because like
That's like
being like
very
openly
much
being
you're just insecure.
yeah, like, being trans is not the same as someone proposing at your wedding or wearing white to your wedding. Like, that's not the same thing, and it's like and if she sticks out to you, then, who cares? She's just someone in your wedding. You're the one wearing the white dress. You're the one that everyone's looking at. And so that's kind of my ordeal, but people are calling her the asshole because she didn't give the family a heads up, which I can agree and understand. But at that point, it already happened. You shouldn't be hung up on it like that. And I think it's wrong for I could see both sides, but I don't think I could side with someone who just wants to get right with God. And like so that seems like that's the issue. The issue isn't they didn't give her a heads up in advance. It's the fact that she is trans and she's at their wedding. That's what they don't like about it. So I think that's kind of where I'm like I don't think they're the asshole, but that's
I
my
mean, at any
feelings.
wedding, I feel like there's always going to be that person that you see or invite that you haven't seen in literally 10, 15, 20 years. So, do you expect every person that you haven't seen in a long time to tell you, oh, I lost a lot of weight and now I have black hair instead of blonde hair to like prevent them from like prevent other people from being shocked when they see them and like take the attention away from you? Like, that's just unreasonable to do that.
Yeah,
I don't get it. That's
I just
weird.
hope, yeah, I hope that the daughter is doing good, and I hope the family is still supporting her like unconditionally, and I hope everything goes swell because that's awesome when your kid feels comfortable with you enough to be able to express themselves with you. Once that happens, and like especially taking them into a new environment, that support system as parents is so important to them that they're going to lean on you in those new situations. And so to once those people are being targeted for her transitioning, like I'm like that just it makes me breaks my heart because that's her who she was relying on to support her and they're getting
Mhm.
attacked for who she is like that. I'm sure it hurts. So I don't like that. But I hope
You
she's
know what? I
okay.
think the asshole is the maid of honor. Because from
Period.
what she how she
Same.
explained the wedding, it sounds like the bride didn't really care, but then the maid of honor was probably like, "That was so disrespectful how they brought that pink-haired bitch in here, and she was, like, basically taking all the attention away from me, like, that was pretty fucked up, right?" And, like, gaslighted her into making her think that she was actually offended when she wasn't, so
I
I
think
think the
the
real asshole is the maid of honor.
I think the real asshole is the hairdresser because who the fuck would give a child a pink
Yeah.
bob?
Honestly, I think it might have started there.
Yeah,
So the
probably.
hairdresser
Honestly,
and
yeah.
the maid of honor need to be they need to be handled because they
Executed.
caused this whole situation.
Right. So throw him in jail. But yeah, I thought that was an interesting one because it was the first time I read one and I didn't like agree fully with the comments because I wouldn't have said that they were an asshole. But life is has its gray lines, and I think that kind of sat on like a gray line. But I feel like I mostly agree with the
Mhm.
parents of this trans girl.
I
So
agree.
yeah,
That was fun.
but yeah, that was fun. I love it. The Am I the Assholes? But I guess with that being said, we can wrap this up now. It's been a really great episode. I'm happy we were able to really focus on that one topic that entire time because it does seem something that we've been wanting to talk about for a while, and I'm happy we were able to finally address it.
Yeah, I always kind of feel a little bit nervous when we talk about something that's a little controversial, but I do think there's value in actually talking about it and sharing our opinions. And I don't think we've ever had a situation where people were upset with what we said. So,
Mhm.
yeah, I'm just happy we were able to have the conversation. It was a little bit late, but it was still a conversation that needed to be had. And I'm glad we were able to address it.
And I think people know at the our hearts aren't meant to hurt anyone or to upset anyone.
Mhm.
Like we genuinely want to be there to support people. So I hope people don't hear this and think that we disagree with anyone's way of living or who they are. And obviously, as trans women, we know what that feels like, and we don't want to do that to anyone else. So, and if you want to like have like your own discussion, if you want to bring it up, talk about how you feel, please do so. I'll have like a little comment section under this episode in Spotify. Write how you feel about this because we'd love to hear your point of view, what you feel, because all of our perspectives are different, and I would love to know if you guys if you feel like we said something maybe that wasn't right or you don't agree with, we definitely won't ever shut that down. So please let us know and give us the feedback. But yeah, with that being said, please follow us everywhere. We have an Instagram, we have a website, a Twitter, everything, a TikTok. Follow us everywhere. If you want to support the show, you can support our show through Patreon, but also through Anchor. If you just go to anchor.fm/girlish, there is a support button where you can support our show, and hopefully that will make us rich one day.
Yeah. But I guess thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you for understanding that we were gone for a while. But I think we're back. It was a nice little break. We're ready to get back into it and be consistent again. So thank you for listening, and we will see you soon with the next episode.
All right.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.